In the backstreets of Jerusalem, a man wrapped in a torn blanket. As everyone else was passing by, a black car slowed down. The window rolled down. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emerged. A few hours later, the same homeless man was behind the wheel of a Lamborghini. How? Get ready for this extraordinary story. Part 1: A cold encounter. The biting wind of Jerusalem's early morning pierced through the streets. Like a ghost. The sidewalks were quiet, except for the distant echoes of hurried footsteps and the occasional honk. On a bench near the Jaffa Gate, a man lay motionless under a thin blanket. His name was Elia. Elia hadn't always lived like this. Just 2 years ago, he was a chef in a popular restaurant downtown. But a fire, one that destroyed not only the restaurant but also his dreams, changed everything. Insurance didn't cover the loss. Friends vanished. Family turned away. And little by little, hope eroded. Now, the sounds of tourists and the scent of roasting coffee did nothing but remind him of the life he lost. His beard had grown wild. His clothes were torn and mismatched. But his eyes, they still carried a glimmer, even if buried beneath layers of suffering. That morning, as Elia rummaged through a garbage bin outside a bakery for half-eaten bagels, a black SUV rolled up and parked a few feet away. Its windows were tinted. Its surface gleamed under the golden sun. Elia didn't notice it at first. He was too focused on what looked like a still-warm sandwich. But then the door opened. A man stepped out. Polished shoes, tailored suit, perfectly combed hair. It was Benjamin Netanyahu. He looked directly at Elia. There was a pause in the air, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Elia raised his head, startled. Their eyes met. And in that instant, something shifted, an invisible thread pulling two completely different worlds together. Part 2: The first step in the Prime Minister's convoy. After getting into Netanyahu's armored convoy, Elia lost track of time. His eyes were fixed on the window, but his thoughts were far away. Was this a miracle? A dream? Or some kind of prank? As they drove through the central streets of Jerusalem, people stopped to watch the vehicles, some even recording videos on their phones. Elia's dirty clothes stood out inside the convoy. It was impossible to go unnoticed. Minutes later, the first photo appeared on Twitter. Is there a homeless man in Netanyahu's car? What's going on? It was a bombshell for Israeli media. When the convoy reached the Prime Minister's residence, the heavy iron gates opened. For the first time in his life, Elia stepped into such a grand place. The palm trees in the garden, the calming pool, the wide stone paths. It was like another planet. Inside, well-dressed advisors greeted him, but nobody acted condescendingly. Netanyahu, without saying a word at first, handed Elia a clean, new suit. Take a bath and relax. Then we'll talk, he said. Tonight is your first test. Elia's hands trembled as he walked to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror. He hadn't stared at himself this long in years. Dark circles under his eyes, cracked lips, hardened expression. But he noticed something else. Under his eyes, there was still hope. After changing into the new clothes, he hardly recognized himself. The old Elia was gone. That evening, Netanyahu invited him to the large dining room prepared for special guests. Around the table sat powerful businessmen, media owners, even foreign diplomats. They all looked at the homeless man with astonishment. Netanyahu began his speech. Today, I want to introduce you to a success story that cannot be measured in numbers. This man's name is Elia. He lost many things, but he never lost his faith. And I invest in those who never lose their faith. Silence fell in the room, then applause gradually filled the space. Elia froze in place, shyly bowing his head. But inside, a voice, silenced for years, was shouting. This is it. This is the first door to your dream. At the end of the night, Netanyahu announced another decision. Tomorrow morning, we'll go to Tel Aviv together. I have a little surprise for you. The press was eager for that sentence. Camera with flash the next day, media storm. The next morning, Ilya woke up to newspaper front pages featuring his photos. Some headlines read, "From homeless to hero, Netanyahu's unusual decision." What's the secret of the man entering the Prime Minister's residence? Is the Lamborghini dream becoming reality? Ilya's story went viral on social media. Some supported him, others called it a publicity stunt. But no matter what, everyone was talking. Finally, it was time to go to Tel Aviv. This time, they traveled in a smaller car. As they headed out of the city, Ilya's heart pounded wildly. They arrived at a dealership. A big sign with golden letters read, "Lamborghini Tel Aviv exclusive deliveries." Ilya's feet nearly gave way. It couldn't be real. Netanyahu smiled. "Come in. Your surprise is here." When the doors opened, inside stood a gleaming orange Lamborghini Huracan STO. On it was a note. "To the man who stayed true to his dreams, Netanyahu." Ilya fell to his knees, tears uncontrollable. The room was silent, but the walls seemed to tremble with the echo of that deep emotion. Part 3, the test drive and a message to the world. Ilya, kneeling before the bright orange Lamborghini, was overcome with emotion. Everyone was silent. Cameras flashed constantly. But at that moment, it was just a man alone with his dream. Netanyahu stepped back, giving Ilya space. He knew Ilya wasn't just receiving a car. He was piecing together the fragments of his past. Ilya raised his head, his eyes red but shining with hope. He stood and walked forward. The car's shadow stretched across the polished floor, a silhouette of newfound strength, respect, and determination. The sales manager brought the keys in a special red ribbon box. "This is yours, Ilya," Netanyahu said. Everyone applauded. But the real moment was about to come, the test drive. Oncoming car first test drive. Sitting behind the wheel of the Lamborghini was like a dream come true for Ilya. The warmth of the steering wheel, the leather scent, the digital displays, every detail felt surreal. He started the engine. The powerful roar echoed throughout the showroom. Ilya smiled. "This sound is the voice of my second chance." Netanyahu sat beside him. Cameras mounted inside the car began live streaming. As they left the showroom and drove through Tel Aviv streets, everyone's eyes were on them. Police cars escorted the convoy. Streets temporarily closed. People lined the sidewalks, phones raised, recording. Television live broadcast and global reactions. Israeli TV stations aired the event live. But the story went global. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, even Japan's NHK led with headlines. Israeli Prime Minister makes homeless man a Lamborghini owner. Reality or show? A PR stunt. Are taxpayers funding Lamborghinis? But many were deeply moved. A man who never had luck finally got what he deserved. Every homeless person could be an Ilya. Each time Ilya pressed the accelerator, he wasn't just speeding up, he was fueling hope worldwide. His steering wheel became a symbol for thousands of dreams. Speech balloon Netanyahu's message. After the test drive, reporters swarmed the car. Netanyahu spoke quietly. "Today you saw more than just a car. This is a symbol of hope. This vehicle isn't a reward for success. It's a prize for perseverance." Ilya's dream was born on the street but is now reaching the world. "The reason I did this is simple, every person deserves a second chance." Reporters scribbled notes, some wiping tears. Ilya also spoke into the microphone. "I've fallen many times in my life. But I got up every morning because I had a dream. This car is more than just a vehicle. It's a symbol of my belief in myself." His voice softened, but his words echoed around the globe. Never stop dreaming. Because one day, that dream can carry you from where you are to among the stars. Globe showing Europe Africa International Echo. That night, the New York Times published an editorial. A Lamborghini can carry more than speed, it can carry hope. Netanyahu's gesture is a rare intersection of politics and humanity. A French news site headlined, "Elias tears a story beyond luxury." Even Elon Musk tweeted, "Touching a homeless man's dream is harder, but more meaningful than changing the world." Clapping hand sign. Part 4, The Price of a Dream. Public, media, and political reactions. That morning, Elia woke to headlines that stung sharply. A Lamborghini bought with taxes for a homeless man. Haaretz. Another paper screamed, a 2 million shekel car for a homeless man. Israel Post. Not only newspapers but the parliament was abuzz. Opposition leaders took the stage. Prime Minister Netanyahu. While our people struggle to make ends meet, you spend taxpayers' money on a homeless man's luxury car. This populism damages our nation's dignity. Social media was divided. Some supported Elia. Others attacked him. Certain politicians targeted Elia harshly. Classical building # political storm. Protests erupted in front of the Prime Minister's office. Placards read, "We are also homeless, give us a Lamborghini. Stop the show, start working." Despite pressure, Netanyahu stood firm. In a press conference, he said, "If we want to solve our country's problems, we must first learn to value people." Elias' Lamborghini was not purchased with public funds but with a private donation. It's not a burden, it's inspiration. The statement calmed tensions slightly. But the media kept chasing Elias' story. Pressure on Elia. Elia could no longer walk the streets peacefully. Once at a market, a man confronted him. "I've paid taxes for 20 years. Is this what my money goes to?" Another mocked, "Hey King Elia, how's the palace life?" One morning, his Lamborghini's tires were slashed. Spray painted on the hood was, "You're not luxury, you're a story." Elias' spirit broke. For days he stayed inside, silent. It felt like the old days, but now with a heavy crown of hate and envy. Speech balloon. Private talk with Netanyahu. One evening, Netanyahu summoned Elia to his office. They sat alone at the large desk. Netanyahu looked serious but resolute. "Elia," he said softly, "I know I put a burden on you. But there's a reason I chose you. You are not an ordinary man. You are resilience. This country needs people like you." Elia bowed his head. "I just dreamed. But now everyone hates me." Netanyahu placed a hand on Elias' shoulder. "Dreams have a price. Sometimes you get applause. Sometimes stones. Remember this, people don't judge you, they judge what you represent. If you succeed, they realize they can too. But first, you must endure." That night, Elias' gaze changed. Microphone. Elias' comeback. The next day, Elia gave a press conference. For the first time, alone before the cameras. "To everyone who resents me for this car, I say, this is not a show, but a symbol of hope. I walked through darkness, but I carry this story so others behind me walk a little brighter. If a homeless man can sit in a Lamborghini, no dream is impossible." His speech went viral. Israel was split, but youth and low-income groups began to rally behind him. A new direction. Netanyahu offered Elia a new mission. "If you think your story ends here, you're wrong. Let's start Steering Hope, a social project. Lead homeless youth. Give them the wheel. Show them the way." Elia lifted his head. He was no longer just a dreamer, but a beacon multiplying dreams. Part 5, Steering Hope. The birth of a new social movement. At first, Steering Hope was just an idea. Elia felt fear. Taking the wheel of a car was one thing. Steering the lives of others was another. But then he asked himself, did I live this story only for myself? Or to help others start theirs? The answer was clear. Automobile. The project begins. With Netanyahu's support, Steering Hope started in a small hangar on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. Old, rusty cars, unused engines, volunteer instructors, and Elia. On the first day, only 5 young people showed up. Only one spoke. The others were silent, guarded. They, too, grew up in worlds where dreaming was forbidden. Elia's first lesson was simple. I once walked in the street's mud. Now I give you the wheel so you can drive your own path. Slowly, their eyes opened. They learned to fix cars, listen to engines, design parts. But most importantly, they learned to believe in themselves. In a month, 18 more joined. #school training, media, and first graduates. The project caught media attention again, this time with warmth and hope. European press highlighted its humanitarian side. A homeless man lights the way for others. Der Spiegel. Hope is steered in Israel. The Guardian. At the first graduation, a young man named Tamer approached Elia, holding a cardboard steering wheel with one word. Now I am here. Elia looked at the cardboard. It was worth more than any Lamborghini. Globe showing Europe-Africa international support and surprising visitors. 3 months later, unexpected support arrived from abroad. Elon Musk sent a letter. Technology and transportation progress not just with machines, but with people. This project shows what real progress means. Tesla supports it. BMW and Ferrari donated training models. Elia became a social leader, not just a symbol. Facing the past. One day, after class, Elia saw an old friend outside the hangar, Yigal, who had once been homeless with him. Yigal looked broken, filled with anger and jealousy. So Lamborghini wasn't enough. Now you're a hero, he said bitterly. Elia wanted to hug him, but Yigal pulled back. I'm still on the streets. Elia met his gaze. I want to walk with you too. This door is open. Yigal said nothing, but noticed the wall. Life can take you from where no one waits for you to where everyone sees you. Loudspeaker Elia's speech, a turning point. At a civil society conference, Elia spoke on stage. Not dirty clothes, but still carrying that child inside. I started this journey with a dream. But a dream isn't enough. You need a society that believes in dreams. Here, we don't just fix cars. We fix broken souls. His words were met with applause. If you hold the wheel, no one can steer you. But you can steer others. Bullseye nationwide expansion. Netanyahu didn't just watch, he supported. The project expanded to 4 major cities. With local governments, businesses, volunteers joining. Steering Hope became a national movement. Each time Elia got into his Lamborghini, he saw not just his past but hundreds of youth following him. Part 6: Dangerous Reactions, Conspiracies and Threats against Elia. As the Steering Hope grew, not everyone welcomed its rise. Powerful, shadowy forces began to feel threatened. Anonymous letters arrived at Elia's home. Stop the show or face the consequences. Sabotage attempts happened at the workshop. One night, someone tampered with the brake lines on one of the training cars. Media outlets launched smear campaigns. Rumors circulated that Elia was exploiting the project for personal gain. Elia felt the weight of it all. Sometimes he'd find his car vandalized with hateful graffiti. Phone calls with silence on the other end made his heart race. Shield Elias in a struggle. Despite the threats, Elia struggled with doubt. Could he carry this burden? Was the dream turning into a nightmare? But every time he thought about giving up, he remembered the young faces in the workshop, eager, hopeful. A close friend told him, "The darkness you're facing means you're shining too bright." #handshake #Netanyahu's support. Netanyahu remained a steadfast supporter. In private meetings, he advised Elia on security and media strategy. Remember, the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. But shadows disappear when you keep moving forward. Explosion symbol a turning point. One evening, after a particularly harsh news segment attacking him, Elia felt broken. He called Netanyahu. "Maybe I'm not strong enough," he confessed. Netanyahu's voice was firm. "Strength isn't never falling. It's getting up every time you fall. You're not alone." Reinvigorated, Elia returned to the workshop with renewed determination. Part 7: A New Path, a New Life. Elia sat on a bench beside the track. the Lamborghini gleaming under the afternoon sun. A quiet smile played on his lips. A smile carrying the weight of years spent in shadow and the light of hope rekindled. Netanyahu joined him. And for a long moment, they sat in silence, listening to the hum of the city around them. Finally, Netanyahu spoke. Some believe lifting others is weakness. But true strength is raising someone higher than yourself. Ilya nodded. You gave me more than a car. You gave me a second life. The next day, headlines screamed. Netanyahu's shocking move, a 12 million shekel Lamborghini for a homeless man. A touch that changed a life, a story that soared from streets to stardom. Public reaction was mixed. Some called it political theater, others a powerful act of leadership. But no one could deny the impact. Ilya's story went viral, inspiring thousands. Young people shared their own struggles and dreams. Charities launched campaigns. Humanity was reminded it still mattered. Ilya became more than a Lamborghini owner. He became a motivational speaker, sharing his story in schools, prisons, conferences. He opened his speeches with, "One day, I woke up on the street. The next day, I was behind the wheel of a Lamborghini. But what changed me wasn't the car, it was the belief someone had in me." The legacy. Ilya's journey was not just about luxury or fame. It was about belief, resilience, and the power of a second chance. Netanyahu's decision to see one man's worth sparked a movement. It showed how one act of recognition could change thousands of lives. And in the end, Ilya's story wasn't just his. It belonged to every forgotten soul. Every dream deferred, waiting for the moment someone would say, "You are seen. You are worthy."